Hey, welcome back, and we're going to be looking at the Aqua Painter this time. So we'll be using the same products as we did before, except we'll be using our Aqua Painter. So you need to stamp in your stays on again to stop any bleeding. We'll be using our Pretty in Pink and Rose Red again, and definitely need a tissue beside you as well, and also working on the watercolour paper. So to start off with, we're going to lay down a colour of Pretty in Pink again. So I can get that in. And again, because it's so light, I would definitely be using a drop of re-inker. Now, when I use my pens, I always have my tissue fairly close by. I don't like to have my pen overly wet or overly dry, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but you can just, there's a little bit of moisture on my hand, just a tiny bit, so I don't know whether you can catch it or not, but that's the way I like it to be. Okay, so I always keep that there ready to dry off if I need to. So just going in and using the lid as a palette. And I'm just going to do the same thing just to lay down a bit of colour in that centrepiece. Now if you find that your pen is too dry, just give it a slight squeeze. I'm not going to with this one because it is actually quite wet, but you just squeeze the barrel ever so slightly, and that'll make it a little bit wetter for you. Okay, so coming in to do the petal. Another thing I like to do is try and keep the tip of that pen as a point. Sometimes I'll get a bit furry, and if that happens, just take a moment, squeeze some water through it and bring it back into a point. Because the last thing you want is a furry nib trying to colour in you know, close to the lines and detailed work, because it never wants to get in there. So now that I've got this here, as you can see, I want that to be a little bit lighter, so I'll just go and take off the colour off that nib and work that in. And you can actually pull that colour back up. Now, I haven't done any examples for this one on the Whisper White or the confetti. You need to be really quick, and because you're working with water, it tends to go through a fair bit. So I don't even worry about colouring a lot of the time on the Whisper White. So again, we want this section in here to be a lot paler. So I'll come to about there, clean off my ink, and just blend that through. Now my other one's a little bit darker, so I'll just try and match that up. Okay, now we're going to do our blending. Now ideally it would be great for them to dry in between. With the blender pen you don't have to worry so much because it doesn't go really wet. Now I've got, and another reason why I like to keep my brush quite dry is because there's less time between layers. So I think that will be fine. Just clean off my pen so that's nice and clear. And I'm just going to pick up a tiny amount because it is really strong, as you'll see. It's always better to start off lightly and then build your way up. So you can just blend that out. And again, if you get too much on there, just wipe it off and then continue to blend it. Again, you can come back and put as many layers on here as you like, and especially with the watercolour, because it won't pill at all. Okay, so that's blending with the Aqua Painter. And here's a finished one that I did. So you can see the difference is a little bit deeper in colour than the blender pen one, but still gives a really good result, and you can get in there. I did have a little bit of bleeding because my pen was flooding a little bit. But let's go and finish them off. I will make them into cards and come back and show you what I've created with them.